What happens when screens replace stories, when the glow of a phone becomes brighter than a child's smile, when a generation grows up connected to everyone, yet deeply disconnected from themselves? Anyway, welcome to Responsible Parenting TVC. Responsible parenting tips for caring kids. Here, we share raw, uncensored, and deeply relatable parenting stories, practical tips, proven strategies, and inspiring lessons to help you raise responsible, confident, and caring children in today's world. Disclaimer: this is an educational content for knowledge and awareness only. Again, I ask you, what happens when screens replace stories? When the glow of a phone becomes brighter than a child's smile? When a generation grows up connected to everyone, yet deeply disconnected from themselves? In this emotional episode of Responsible Parenting TVC, we uncover one of the silent battles of modern homes, the digital divide between parents and their children, a battle not of technology, but of attention, love, and emotional connection. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe now. If you're on Facebook, follow our page, like, comment, and share this video with others who need to hear this truth. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell, because every episode here could save a home, a heart, or a generation. The silent struggle. It was a quiet Saturday morning in Lagos. The sun was soft, the house still, and the only sound was the click of fingers on a phone screen. Ngozi stood by the kitchen door, watching her 14-year-old son, Tomiwa, hunched over his tablet. He wasn't watching cartoons or doing homework. He was scrolling endlessly through videos, laughing, but somehow looking empty. She called out softly, "Tomiwa, did you even eat breakfast?" No response. Just another scroll, another video, another escape. Ngozi sighed, her heart tightening. Once upon a time, she and her son talked about everything: dreams, fears, even his silly jokes about school. But now every conversation ended with one phrase: "Mom, I'm busy." That day, as she packed away the untouched breakfast, a deep guilt rose in her chest. She remembered how she used to do the same thing, escaping into work emails, social media, endless scrolling. Now she saw the reflection of herself in her son's silence, and it hit her. She wasn't just losing his attention, she was losing their connection. That night, she decided to talk, really talk. But as she opened his door, she found him with headphones on, tears quietly streaming down his cheeks as he stared at a screen. The video playing, a post from a teenager talking about loneliness. "Why do I feel invisible even when everyone's online?" the voice said. Ngozi froze. Her son, her cheerful, confident boy, was quietly struggling with emotions he didn't know how to name. She sat beside him and whispered, "Tomiwa, what's wrong?" He pulled off his headphones, startled. "Nothing, Mum. I'm fine." But she wasn't convinced. She could feel the walls, tall digital walls, between them. The truth is, modern parenting has changed. We're raising kids in a world that never switches off, where likes replace love and follows replace family time. Children are more connected to the internet than to their parents, yet more emotionally lonely than ever before. Experts call it digital emotional displacement, when screens meet needs that parents used to fill: comfort, attention, validation. But no screen can mirror a parent's empathy. No emoji can replace a warm hug. Ngozi realized something that night. Her son didn't just need control, he needed connection. And to reconnect, she had to start where she had stopped, by listening, not lecturing. As she turned off her phone and sat quietly beside him, she whispered, "I miss talking to you. Not texting you, not reminding you, just talking. He looked at her, confused at first, then softened. Mum, you mean like before? Yes, son, like before. A fragile bridge began to rebuild, but just as the silence started to heal, a notification popped up on his screen, and in a second, the moment was gone. Ngozi watched as his face lit up, not from joy, but from the glow of another escape. And for the first time, she realized this wasn't just about parenting. This was about reclaiming their home from digital distraction. But what happens when Ngozi decides to take a stand? Not by banning devices, but by healing the emotional gap between her and her son. If you're touched by this story, comment "Marriage with Wisdom," share it with loved ones, and subscribe for more real-life stories that heal hearts on Responsible Parenting TVC. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell. The next part might just change how you see love and parenting forever. The next morning, Ngozi made a quiet decision. She wasn't going to take Tomiwa's tablet. She wasn't going to scold him for screen time. She was going to see him again, not as a child who disobeys, but as a soul crying for connection. So she turned off her phone, sat at the dining table, and waited. Minutes passed, then an hour. Finally, Tomiwa came out, rubbing his sleepy eyes. "Mom, are you okay?" She smiled softly. "I'm fine. I just wanted to have breakfast with you, like we used to." He hesitated, glanced at his tablet, then at her. Something in her tone, calm, not commanding, made him sit down. For the first time in months, they ate in silence. Not the awkward silence of distance, but the stillness of two people relearning how to be present. As they ate, Ngozi's heart began to ache, not from what was said, but from what wasn't. She remembered her own childhood. Growing up in Enugu, her mother never asked how she felt. It was always, "Stop crying, be strong, you're fine." But she hadn't been fine. She had been the quiet girl who learned to bottle her emotions until silence became her survival. Now, years later, she was parenting the way she had been parented, demanding strength but neglecting softness. And suddenly she understood. Her son's distance wasn't rebellion, it was inheritance, generational silence passed down like an heirloom, wrapped in good intentions, sealed by emotional neglect. Later that day, she found Tomiwa in his room again, this time sitting quietly, staring at a photo of his late father on the wall. His voice trembled. "Mom, do you miss Dad?" Ngozi froze. It was the first time he had mentioned his father since the funeral 2 years ago. "Every day," she whispered, "but I try not to think about it too much." He nodded, then said, "That's what I do too. When I miss him, I just play games or watch stuff. It helps me not to feel so sad." Ngozi's throat tightened. She realized that the screen wasn't his problem. It was his comfort, a digital painkiller for wounds too deep to voice. That night, she sat alone on the balcony, tears in her eyes. All her life, she thought being a good parent meant being in control, rules, routines, results. But now she was learning that true parenting begins not with control, but with connection. And connection starts with empathy, with the courage to listen before you lecture. She picked up her journal and wrote, "Today, I will stop trying to fix my son's feelings. I will start feeling with him." The next morning she entered his room again, not with anger, but humility. "Tomiwa," she began softly, "I realize I've not been listening enough. I keep telling you what to do, how to act, how to behave, but I haven't asked you how you really feel." He blinked, surprised. "You mean you want to know?" "Yes," she said, her eyes moist, "even if it's hard to hear." There was a pause, long, trembling, sacred. Then he spoke, voice shaking. I miss him, Mum. I miss Dad. And sometimes I feel like if I talk about it, it'll make you sad too. Her tears fell freely. Oh, my son, hiding your pain doesn't protect me. It only keeps us both hurting. She pulled him close, and for the first time in a long while, he didn't pull away. The silence that once separated them now became the bridge that connected them. That evening, instead of the usual TV or gadgets, they took a walk around the estate. No distractions, no screens, just laughter, stories, and long overdue healing. Ngozi felt something shift deep inside her, a realization that she wasn't just raising her son, she was reparenting herself. The part of her that never felt heard as a child was finally finding peace through the same listening she was offering her son. But what happens when Ngozi finally uncovers the deeper truth behind her son's pain? A truth that will test her forgiveness, her patience, and her understanding of love itself. If this story has touched you, comment. Parenting with Compassion. Share it with your loved ones. And subscribe for more real life stories that heal hearts on Responsible Parenting TVC. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell, because the next part might just change how you see parenting forever. Days turned into weeks, and slowly the walls between Ngozi and Tomiwa began to crumble. They started spending quiet evenings together, cooking, talking, sometimes just sitting in shared silence. But one Sunday evening, as they were clearing the dishes, Tomiwa said something that froze her heart. Mom, there's something I never told you. Her hand trembled slightly. What is it, my son? He hesitated, staring down at his plate. It's about that night, the night Dad died. I heard you two fighting before he left. Ngozi felt her breath catch. That night, the one she tried to erase, came rushing back like a storm. They had argued over finances, frustration, and fear. He had stormed out. The accident happened minutes later. She had never told Tomiwa the full story. I thought it was my fault, Tomiwa whispered, tears rolling down his face. I thought maybe if I had come out and stopped him, he wouldn't have gone. So when you started yelling at me all the time, I just thought you hated me too. Ngozi's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. All her years of control, all her lectures, all her shouting. It wasn't rebellion she was fighting. It was a child's unspoken guilt. She dropped to her knees, voice breaking. Oh, my son, you didn't cause your father's death. You were just a child. It wasn't your fault. It was an accident. A painful, tragic accident. Please forgive me for letting my grief become your burden. He sobbed in her arms, the kind of sob that comes from years of silent pain finally finding voice. For the first time, their tears mingled, not from anger, but from healing. That night, Ngozi couldn't sleep. She realized something profound. Parenting wasn't just about shaping a child's future. It was about healing the family's past. She began reading about emotional health, trauma, and empathy. She learned that children don't always need answers. Sometimes they just need to be heard, held, and understood. Weeks later, she joined a local support group for single parents. There, she met others who shared similar struggles, trying to raise kids in a world where screens, stress, and silence had replaced connection, communication, and care. She learned to say simple but powerful words to Tomiwa. I'm proud of you. I hear you. It's okay to feel sad. You don't have to be strong all the time. And each time she said those words, she could almost feel her own childhood wounds healing too. Months passed. Their home began to sound different, softer, warmer. Tomiwa laughed more. He spent less time online, more time outdoors. He started helping at church, volunteering at a youth tech program. And one night after dinner, he turned to his mother and said something that made her heart melt. "Mom, I still miss Dad, but now, when I miss him, I talk to you instead." Ngozi smiled through her tears. That one sentence was worth every sleepless night, every tear, every change she had made, because love had found its voice again. In the quiet of her room that night, Ngozi whispered a prayer. "Lord, thank you for teaching me that healing starts with humility. Thank you for reminding me that love is not loud, it listens. And thank you for giving me back my son." She realized that emotional healing doesn't happen in grand gestures. It happens in small, consistent acts of compassion, a listening ear, a gentle touch, a willingness to say, "I'm sorry." And in that sacred space of grace, her family found redemption, closing reflection, and moral lesson. Dear viewers, if there's one truth this story teaches us, it's this. Our children don't just inherit our names, they inherit our wounds, our fears, and our silence. But the same way pain can be passed down, so can healing. When we choose to listen instead of lecture, when we choose compassion over control, when we apologize instead of asserting power, we give our children the emotional foundation they need to thrive in a noisy digital world. Parenting isn't about perfection, it's about connection. And the greatest gift you can give your child is not more gadgets, not more grades, but more grace. Short prayer. May every parent watching this receive the wisdom to love deeply, the humility to listen openly, and the courage to heal generational wounds through compassion and truth. Amen. This is Responsible Parenting TVC, responsible parenting tips for caring kids. Stay with us for more inspiring parenting lessons, powerful real-life stories, and daily guidance to help you raise children who are caring, responsible, and ready to thrive.